What's up? Welcome to another episode of All Over VoiceOver with Kiff VH. I am your host, Kiff VH, and welcome to episode 50. That's not what I'm here to tell you. What I'm here to share with you is my All Over VO live panel that we did at Stan Lee's Los Angeles Comicon on October 27th this year. So on this panel, I had three VO artists, Zeno Robinson, Secunda Wood, and Adam McArthur, come in and share their expertise and their roles and advice and all that other stuff. But I also had our booth director from CESD, a gentleman named Scott Forbes, who all four of us work with kind of on a daily basis, and to get his perspective from the other side of the glass. And I think you'll really find some fantastic advice and anecdotes. Just a quick note about audio quality. So I just recorded a straight-up feed out of the board, and I've done my best to kind of boost the volume of questions from the audience because they weren't mic'd, and to sort of equalize the panel audio. So this sounds a little like you're there, and you might strain to hear a little bit. I tried to fix that to the best of my ability, but please forgive me. And our next episode we will do in studio, and it will sound even better than this one does. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to get great. Let me shut up. So here's my panel discussion with Zeno and Secunda and Adam and Scott. Enjoy. Well, Scott's one of these guys who's Well, I'll let him tell you what he does, but by way of introduction, he is a booth director at CESD Talent Agency. Now, we are all represented by CESD, and we work with Scott practically on a daily, if not a couple times a week basis, where Scott is our director. We get copy sent to us, and then Scott helps us interpret it and helps us book the work. He directs commercial and animation and video game copy and kind of anything that comes down the road. He also, another unique part of his tasks is that he assesses new actors' readiness for representation and if they can be competitive. So he's a very valuable asset not only to CESD but also to every actor who on our roster. He has a history in TV and film production. He loves comic books. And interestingly enough, he was an honorable mention for the Nobel Prize, which is it's not really so much a prize as sort of an appreciation. I wouldn't even say that it's an appreciation so much as it's a completely fabricated credit, because we felt. But I'm glad that Scott's here. Scott Forbes, ladies and gentlemen.
I was like, what? Really?
The Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. I was like, I've never heard of that one.
So I guess. Just out of curiosity, is there anyone here in the house who's listened or heard my show, the podcast, All Over VoiceOver? Awesome. A handful of you.
Sweet.
Great. The reason I've been doing this is just to try to... there's a lot of mystery about this work, and my goal has been to demystify it and talk process, and that's kind of what our panel is really about today. I just would like to... first of all, thank all of you guys for taking time out of your Saturday and coming down here and sharing your stuff. How did you, Zeno? You're right here. How'd you get started in this?
Actually, I signed with CESD as a commercial talent.
On camera commercial?
On camera, yeah. I was like 14. Yeah. It was
You were 14 when
you
started?
I was 14 when I started.
Had you done classes and that kind of work before?
Didn't even know what it was. Had no idea. And they were kind of just testing the waters, seeing what I could do. And I think that they sent me an audition for this show that I had never heard of at the time called Ben 10. And I booked it somehow.
Wow.
Yeah, so then that's when I got started. They were like, oh, okay, so he worked this show. So then they signed me over there in VO.
What a trip. That's great. Well, where are you from? Are you from Southern California?
Yeah, I'm from out here.
Okay.
Yeah, I live in Carson.
Were you interested in pursuing this work, or how did you find yourself CESD going, hey, you kid, come here? Were you at a shopping mall? Was there an open casting? Or
so
what happened?
I realized sometime around middle school, like that age 14, that I wanted to do acting. I wanted to be an actor. And then I took this program, it's like on Wilshire, called All About Kids. And there was like a I Want an Agent program where you would train for like a couple of weeks, with commercial copy, with a monologue, and I think No, I think that's it. You did a monologue, and then you did a commercial, and then they would bring in a bunch of the agents, and you would like perform in front of them. And then, so the director there, Felicia Scott, she brought in Melissa.
Oh,
From CESD. So Melissa saw me, and I think Carolyn saw me. And that's when Carolyn signed me over to commercial, and then they sent me that VO copy.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. So how long have you been with CESD now?
Oh, 10 years.
10 years.
As of Wednesday. Yeah. So 14. Yeah, right. 10 years.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Adam, how did you get started? I mean, where are you from originally? Are you from here?
No, originally I'm from Northern California, a little city outside of San Francisco called Pinole, which, if anyone's heard of it, I'm going to hug you later. What'd you say? Tracy. Oh, Tracy, what up, girl? So a little city outside of San Francisco. There's two of my earliest memories I have. And my parents will tell this story often, so I hear it from their perspective too. Things that I've wanted to do my entire life. One, I've always wanted to do kung fu, and the other is I've always wanted to be an actor. And so it took until I was 11, they put me in kung fu, and then finally when I was 16, they put me in an acting class.
Wow.
In San Francisco, a place called Kids on Camera, which is kind of funny. Called Kids on Camera. Judy Berlin, a woman who was a voice on Sesame Street, was the the instructor or the owner of the school. And so I did classes there until I wasn't a kid on camera, and then I transitioned into adults on camera. But yeah, my first, literally the first job I ever had an audition for, I booked. And it was, this was when I was non-union. So, for people who aren't in the industry, there's union work, there's non-union work. Yeah. I was not in the union. And I didn't realize that at the time, the union, Screen Actors Guild, before it combined with AFTRA, was on a strike. And so I got asked to audition for what should have been union work.
Oh, my.
And I was like, okay, I don't know. Yeah, I'll do it.
You know what you do. You know what you know, and you know.
Yeah.
It's like
and San Francisco is a smaller market anyway, so a lot of people did both and stuff like that. But now I will only do union work, just so you know. Some of my agents are here, just so you know. What I ended up auditioning for, what was I found out later was a Macy's radio commercial.
Okay.
And they needed a young teen voice. So I booked that, and that turned into 32 radio commercials and TV commercials for Macy's. And thank you. And during that time, the strike ended. So they flipped it all, and then they were like, "Oh, hey, by the way, you got to join the union now because we're not on strike anymore." And I was like, "Okay." So I got into the union before I even moved to LA. Man. And then and I've been in LA for 15 years. So
Did they residualize those 32 radio spots?
No, not the ones that I had done because they were previous. Contract. Yeah, and most of those were done previously, but there was a few that got residualized. They got flipped,
but it's so. I similar thing. Like I got union in Detroit, I got SAG in Detroit, and AFTRA and Equity, and it's like it was one of the biggest surprises to me because I just thought it wasn't something that would be an option for you. If you weren't in New York, LA, or Chicago, you were not going to be a union. But the union work is, there wasn't much, but it was there in Cleveland, and there was quite a bit in Pittsburgh. It's everywhere, which is kind of great.
Yeah.
But
sorry, no.
Yes, and.
No, I like it. Yes, and. Yes, and all the things.
When did you move to Los Angeles? When did that happen?
I moved to LA in 2003, so 14 years. I knew I wanted to be here for acting, so I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I was also scared to just move to LA and be an actor because, I don't know, I like to eat and, pay rent.
Right.
So I went to junior college in Northern California for 3 years. I transferred to Pepperdine. I went to Pepperdine for 2 years. And I started literally as soon as I got here, I got a voiceover agent because I had a demo. All the money that I made from the radio commercials, I used to create a demo. Took my demo, got a voiceover agent, and then slowly started to audition. And I had a lot of really good luck initially with on-camera commercial stuff. I've done a lot of on-camera commercials. Awesome. Voiceover started really slow. Here in LA until I got with CESD. So yeah.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you, Adam. Awesome. Secunda, what's been your journey? Where are you from?
Oh boy, I'm from LA. And I actually signed with CESD when I was 5.
What?
In 88. 3.
Wow.
With Bob Preston, like a long time ago. And then
It's not that long ago.
I kind of, I guess, I was.
That's not that long ago.
Oh my God.
It's really not that long ago.
There were town cars.
There were like buses.
The red car was still going.
And so I was an on-camera child actress for a while. Like I was on Sister Sister.
Oh, snap.
They went to Pepperdine.
So I did that for a while, and then I fell in love, and I moved to Seattle with my baby and my hubby, and thought, well, I'm just gonna leave all that behind, but I couldn't. It was like an itch. Like I was doing all this community theater, and I was like, I have to do anything. And so I auditioned for. It was like a voiceover job on like Craigslist, and I went, and I had so much fun, and I booked the job, and I was just like, this is what I'm going to do. This is just so much fun. I can be anybody. It doesn't matter what I look like. It doesn't matter what race I am. It doesn't matter. It just matters. You just become a character, and it was the best experience of my life. So then I moved to San Diego, and I started pursuing voiceover by myself, and I did okay.
Like voiceover for yourself?
No voiceover.
Like Secunda walked into the restaurant.
Like,
She looked around pensively. She approached the waiter.
I do that too.
Yeah.
She's like, oh wait, that wasn't a good take. I got it.
Start back. Let me enter the restaurant one more time.
So there's that voices.com.
Yeah.
I started working on there and getting myself jobs and cold calling places. Do you need someone to?
Wow.
I just wanted to do it anywhere
That's
I
cool.
could, and then I moved to LA and got into CESD, and which just like changed my whole world. And that was about 4 years ago.
Wow.
And I started doing SAG work and video games and animation and commercials, which pays the rent, which is awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool. When you were hustling your own work, like, I mean, I think certainly for me outside of this market too, and before I really got signed, it was you're just turning over every rock. You're making those phone calls, and it's amazing the stuff that you do succeed in finding.
Yeah, I actually have a voice in an exhibit at the Smithsonian that's been going all around the country. It's called Math Alive, and I got that by just connecting with a producer, just calling and getting to know her and sending Christmas cards. And then one year she was like, I have this thing. Do you want to do it? And it turned out to be this exhibit at the Smithsonian that's been in all of these museums all over, and it's still traveling.
That's so cool.
That's so cool.
Have you
So there's a lot of neat
heard
stuff.
yourself like, oh, that's me. Oh.
Like, this is so teaching kids stuff. Yeah.
Secunda walked into the Smithsonian. She looked at the exhibit and realized, that is me.
Scott, what's been your journey? Where are you from originally?
A little town outside of Cleveland. I was thinking we might have probably been there around the same time.
Are you guys related?
No.
Friends. You guys
But it's possible. Where in Cleveland?
It's called Parma Heights.
Sure, I know Parma Heights.
There you go.
There used to be a Coconut Music over there. I would sell and buy DVDs in there.
what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Coconut Music.
They had a little radio station, a little AM station called WSUM. And there was a show on Sunday nights with
Scott Forbes at nighttime, right here on WSUM. Hey, how you doing tonight?
And I
No
wound up
kidding.
getting a job with them through a radio broadcasting class that I had in high school. And so did a few plays, did the radio thing and really enjoyed it. And this friend of mine calls me up one day and says, hey, I think I want to go to California. And I said, hey, I just traded my motorcycle for a van.
How convenient.
So we spent a month on the road just traveling around the country, and we were on our way up to San Francisco. We stopped up to see a friend of his in L.A. and went in, had a drink with his friend, came out, and my van was gone.
Oh.
So I had a silver dollar in my pocket. My buddy had exactly $1 worth of change, and I said, I don't want to go back. And he said, I don't want to go back either.
Wow.
So we just stayed. Wow. So
What did you? Okay. Just stayed is awesome. Connect me from silver dollar in your pocket, your buddy's change, to this panel. How did you create life for yourself here? What did you?
Well, the lucky thing for us was that the guy that we were stopping by to see felt guilty because the van got lifted out of his parking lot. So he wound up putting us up for a week, and we both had some money back at home, so we got that wired to us. We both got jobs within like a week.
Wow.
And the funny thing about this, I was thinking about this morning, is that I think it's very important to have a goal in life and to have various
You put that on
things to work
silent.
for.
Put your phone on silent.
Is that me?
Who says that? Oh, it's yours?
I think it's me.
Dude.
Hang on a second. All right, there we go. It's a friend tweeting my wife, and I got included.
I
I'm
wish
sorry.
that kid was
I'm
totally
sorry.
like Marco Diaz.
So I want to roll back because it was heavy what you were saying, Scott. You were thinking about this morning.
I was just saying that I think it's really important to have a goal in life and to work toward it. I think it is, but I've never done it. Because basically everything that I got into, I just sort of backed into. I mean, I had to get a job, so I got a job at Federated Group Audio Video Stores. And that put me in touch with a lot of audio equipment, and I talked to a lot of engineers and stuff. And then I finally decided that wasn't working for me. And a friend of mine said, hey, we got some people working at this production company called Film Fair. They're hiring production assistants. And I said, so what do you do? And he said, basically nothing. We wash cars, we sit around, we get paid, it's great. Yeah, well, if you don't know, production assistant is like the Marines. I mean, they're the first one on the set at 4 in the morning. They're the last one to leave at 4 in the morning. So I did that for a couple of years. And I worked one hellish shoot, and it was in the rain and everything, and I came back to the office at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the production manager says, hey, you put on your resume that you worked in the college TV station. You want to run a casting session? I said, what are you doing? He said, just stand behind the camera. I said, okay. So I showed up, and I fired up the camera, and it was for Hawaiian Airlines, and they were interviewing hula girls all day long.
It's like I could get used to this one.
That's where my life changed.
And that's how he ended up here.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
One of the hula girls.
Yeah. But yeah,
This is like
indirectly,
Comicon.
yeah, because I met people through doing on-camera casting, and one of them was a lady named Lisa Dyson, who was a casting director, and she said, you direct a lot of on-camera sessions. Come on in, direct some voiceover sessions. So I started working for her, really got to enjoy it, and then she was the one who told me, hey, CESD is looking for somebody just like you. So 10 years ago, I went in and interviewed with them, and here we are.
What?
Wow.
10 years ago?
10 years ago.
That's crazy because I might have read with you for Ben 10 10 years ago.
Could have been.
Yeah.
I was thinking when you said that.
10 years ago. I think
And
it was
he's
you.
been waiting for the thank you since that day.
Well, thank you now, 10 years later. Yeah.
You're welcome.
What I mean, that's a great story, and that's fascinating. It's so true. Like there's things just in life that you don't necessarily plan for. You have this goal, and the way it looks like a groove, but in reality, it's like like this crazy string that winds through all kinds of things, and you find yourself in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome.
But I got to tell you, man, I wish that I was stumbled on this job 30 years ago, because I mean, meeting people like this, and I mean, you walk in on a Monday morning, and it's like, how you doing? Good. Did you have your coffee? Great. Okay, we're going to do a death scene. So you've just killed the demon, and now you're on fire. Anchor.
Well, that's a great point. I'm curious from everybody kind of on the panel, like when you get a piece of copy that is that, where it is extreme, and I don't know if it's like this for you guys, but for my life, generally, my on-camera stuff, when I go out for an audition, is generally afternoon, and I'll do whatever voiceover things that might come in. I generally tend to do in the morning, sometimes before 10:30. And a lot of times it does involve that kind of really vocally aggressive stuff, or emotionally aggressive stuff, or flippant, fun McDonald's radio spots. But how do you? What's your preparation process for copy that comes in? Do you look at it straight away in the morning and go in fresh? Do you spend some time with it the night before? What's generally been your process?
Honestly, that always depends on like my schedule. Like if I have like a job later that day, or if it's like a quick turnaround, I'll go in and do it that day. If it's something like super emotionally heavy, then I'll try to like look over it, find like the beats, find where that rests within me, And then I'll go in and do it. It all really depends on my schedule.
Yeah.
But usually I'll wait a couple days if I have a job and I'm doing something.
When you're prepping, how do you prep? Like, do you sit down with a pencil
Right.
and all that stuff, or do you just what's your process?
I usually just kind of usually it comes with a picture. It's supposed to come with a picture. Sometimes it doesn't come with a picture, and that is annoying. Because it's if your character is huge and they give you a picture, it's it's a soldier, and he's angry all the time. I don't know if he's huge, so I can make him angry or I can make him bigger. Yeah, so it's I don't know. So that's why the pictures help so much. So usually it comes with a picture and a description. So I underline all of the adjectives of description. Is he angry? Is he smart? Is he stupid? Is he and then I'll go through the lines to try to feel what the scene is about. Is he confronting someone? And sometimes that'll be in there, he's confronting someone or he's confessing. That's where the emotions live. And then I try to find those emotions. I used to mark that stuff up, but okay. I don't think I do that anymore. Yeah. I sometimes, if I feel I want to say this like this, but most of the time I try to find that emotion, how that feeling, how the character feels, because they're a real person. Yeah. And then I'll try to. What am I doing?
Act.
Act. I was looking for another word, but this is act right now. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, the thing that I do professionally.
I will try to acting.
How about you guys? What's your process like?
When there's that kind of intensity, I typically. This is where I think acting training and background comes in. People think it's just about voices, but it's really about acting. And so I think at least, I fall back on that, and I go in with Scott, and I jump around, and then I just imagine the scene, and then I just blow it out into the mic, and then he says, yeah, I don't think we need to do that again.
Really? Because sometimes he'll be like, yeah, you were too loud. Can you do that?
I don't really... for those kind of things, I don't do a lot of prep because I really want it to feel right now, and it's So for me, for those particular things, I just kind of go in there and do it.
Yeah, for me, I try and rely pretty heavily on my improv ability. I tend to overthink things if I sit with them for too long, so I just sort of rely on my instincts, and I do like to. When I have a lot of stuff going on, the night before is usually when I'll say okay, I can focus on whatever I have tomorrow morning or the next day. So then that's when I'll spend time with it. But it's usually not I'm not the kind of person who sits down and has to mull over everything. You're all right, okay, if whatever. I like to read through it, make sure that I'm that there's no weird names or things that are gonna trip me up, but. Yeah, I like to read through it a couple of times and then let it go. Yeah. It helps me.
Yeah, sometimes jumping in is better. It's good.
Yeah, I generally will read it down. It often comes down to page count, and then I'll get caught off guard. There'll be something that I just it's a thing, and then I read it the next morning and it's 8 pages and there's 5 characters, and you're like, oh no.
I should have. Yes,
I should have. Those super emotional, you're being chopped up. Now you're being chopped up for 2 seconds. You're being chopped up for 4 seconds. You know what I mean? Right. Those kind of things. You just go in there and just put yourself in it and do it.
Exactly.
Because you're never really gonna know, right?
Right. Yeah. That's right.
I love those.
You just pretend you're getting
your left leg is burning.
That's
go.
Right.
Go.
Acting.
And now the right.
What's your prep? I mean, do you get an opportunity to see copy in advance of coming in, or is the volume of what you've got to look at too vast to do that?
I'll tell you honestly, we get most of it the night before when it's sent out to you, and a lot of it does come in last minute. Promo narration stuff. Yeah. We'll get a call from Vinny that, hey, somebody's coming over, they've got to read this, it's got to be to Kimmel within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that amazes me about you guys, because, when you were talking about doing, the dad, and then the axe murderer, and then the friendly guy next door, we'll do that in the morning. I mean, we'll crank that out in 15 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just the way that you can completely immerse yourself into a character and then say, okay, that's that one. Okay, let's put that away and then move on to the next guy. That always astounds me.
Man, that's so fun.
What's what's the nature of that part of the process of being able to, like, I mean, if you do stage work and you live with a character for 6 to 8 weeks, and then you've got your emotional prep beforehand and then the come down playlist afterwards after doing some heavy stuff, is the length of time that you live with a character being, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes with an audition equivalent to the amount of time coming off of it? Or what's your shedding process? Have you ever had a hard time losing a script?
Gosh.
I don't know. I just feel like characters I usually play usually have some kind of element to them that I also possess, which is probably why I think I get those roles, because there's something about them that I see in me that makes me real and makes me be able to bring that character more to life. Yeah. So I think there's always like a part of me that stays with the character, because that character also carries a part of me when I perform them. So I don't think it's necessarily a shedding off. It's more of a adding additional layers or removing layers of myself and adding more layers of someone else. Yeah.
Cool.
I think for me with that, I don't know. Again, because I said like I tend to overthink if I live with things for too long. Yeah. So I've gotten really skilled at doing them and just letting them go. Right. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm like, I wonder what happened to that one role. Maybe I should. I wonder if I did it good. I wonder if it's just too much. So it's like I will go in, I'll have a really good time doing it. And that's the other thing is I have a lot of fun auditioning. Yeah. I hear actors complaining about auditions, and I'm like, bye, leave. Yeah. You don't have to do it. Right. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. That's why I find a lot of joy in auditioning and in getting into those characters and then going on to the next one. It's like I'm also kind of like a math puzzle guy. I like figuring things out, and to me it's all sort of just like, I don't know, it's a mental gymnastics going from one character to the next and all that stuff. So letting it go is just like, all right, well, until tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that really sets the actors apart, the ones who really just enjoy the process, and those who are there because it's like, I got to get this Purina commercial so that I can make it until the next paycheck.
But that used to be me, though. So I know what that side is.
Of course,
like.
I think that's every actor at some point.
Yeah, I think it's just what you were saying. Like when you're kind of a guy. I overthink, so I'm not going to overthink this. And I think the other actors who are like what Scott was talking about, are the ones that do overthink, are the ones that are really like, I got to get this so I can make this money, or I got to get this so I don't get dropped, or I got to get this so for such and such and the third.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you can hear that desperation.
That's
even.
It's so true.
Charlie Adler said something to me in a class that I took. It's like whatever fear you carry with you, you'll bring it into your copy. And I think that kind of just stayed with me. Like if you're trying to do an accent and you're afraid you're not going to do the accent right, that's going to translate in your read.
You just commit to what it is, and you have to let go. You can't be the casting director sitting there at their desk, listening through their speakers, going nope, in the middle of your read. Right. You just simply can't. You have the only advocate you have aside from yourself is the other person, is the people on the other side of the glass, and it's got to start with you.
And that's why I think a lot of people are home recording now, which is great. But I think a lot of them have problems with it, too, because they're trying to direct and perform
That
at the
is
same
why
time.
I stopped auditioning from home. That's why I come in now, because I used to do that. I would obsess over every word. I would record it 10 times. But the real world doesn't work like that. When you book a job, you go in and you do it and you go. Yeah. They don't, wait, can I have take number 9? I think I can say that, a little better than that. But at home, I'm like, and then mixing up, I'll take the first one from here, and it made me crazy.
Yeah.
So now I let the experts do all of that fun stuff, and I just go in there and play and leave.
Yeah, I ask Scott that all the time, like when we're recording together. Well, I feel like at this point, too, I have a pretty good gauge of like, I could clean that up, or I could do that better when I'm auditioning things. Yeah. But there's definitely times where I'm like, what? Did you like it? He's like, yeah, I thought that was good. And I'm like,
that's me and Scott every time. He's like, are you good? I'm like, yeah, you good? Okay. I think
so.
See you later.
That's the only one.
It's like this awkward relationship. It's like, are Are you okay? No, I'm okay. Are you okay? I think we're okay.
No, you did good. You did good.
Don't worry.
First of all, I'd really like to thank you for coming in because it keeps me employed.
Yes. Yes.
The other thing is, I was thinking about this on the way over. What I really like the best about this job is that moment when we do both go, that was it.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you can really
Isn't
feel
it
that
great?
connection
Oh.
back
Yeah.
and forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so
really
great.
satisfying. And I told, other people this, this whole thing of like, because you don't book everything you get, not by a long shot. So when you get to play Batman, when you get to play, some of the, like, not just Batman, but like some of the like legendary characters that come across your desk,
Oh,
you're
man.
always
Even just
doing
for 2
Han
minutes.
Solo.
Yeah, Han Solo.
Everything.
Listen, I've been playing Han Solo since I was 7. I've been paid for playing Han Solo. But the thing with it is like you've been doing it for an audience of one, and if it's a big call out, let's say it's a DC thing, and then they've got 20 guys coming in to play those roles. You get 20 to, I don't know. It's cool because you're the one person who I get to do that for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aside
from the windshield of my car.
Right.
I know you get
And my
to
shower.
see a lot. You get to see a lot of what we do.
Yeah.
Our range,
I think
our
Spider-Man
everything.
and Ben 10 was with you. So.
Wow, that's true.
Yeah. I'm like, now just over the whole panel, I'm just going to be like, I booked that other thing through you too. Dang.
He's like, oh, I know.
For what it's worth, I do want to open up the room for questions. You're welcome to, if you have a question for any of us about anything, you are welcome to ask, and we'll grab those questions. But it's one of the unique things about doing it live. So just a hand is fine.
Yeah, just raise a hand.
And we'll keep an eye out.
We'll see it. Right
Nope.
in front.
Yes.
Hello there. How do you guys deal with times where you have to be really fast? Like you have a time limit of like 10 seconds or 30 seconds.
Oh man,
great.
I love that stuff. Like anytime you put like a rule on top of all the other like technical aspects of voiceover, I'm like thriving. Like ADR, I'm like, let's do this. Oh, the lip flap is wrong, and you need me to make my word fit the lip flap? Yeah, let's go. Like that, I love that stuff.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's just like again, vocal gymnastics or mental gymnastics. That stuff is like, I love that.
I think the quicker they throw me into something, the more genuine of a read I might give. I think if I have too much time to think, I'll start bringing my head in my work. I'll start being like, oh, maybe I didn't say that right. Maybe I should say this way the next time. And
And then words stop sounding like words.
right.
Yeah, that's right. You're just trying to make a bunch of sounds as quick as you can.
Yeah.
One of the notes, I think it came from Scott, was go quieter. You think, it's like if you have to talk really, really fast, it's better to talk quieter because you can get a little bit quicker. Generally, it feels like you need to, when you're trying to speed up, that you need to project more, but actually the opposite is true.
Yeah, I think that's just a physiological thing, too.
Yeah.
You don't need to blow out as much air if you're doing it a little quieter.
Right.
Yeah, the time thing happens a lot in promo. I've found that when I'm doing promo stuff for Disney XD and all that, we'll be doing a tag, and it might be like DuckTales premieres November 20th at 8 p.m. on Disney XD and Disney Channel, and on demand, and in the Disney Now app. And it's like, okay, we need that in 3 seconds. It's like, what? So you're just like, at that point, it actually becomes a lot less about. I mean, the delivery still has to be there, but it's a lot less about the delivery and just saying words in a certain amount of time.
I like the legal
Just
and commercials.
Yeah.
Mayberry.
No, my favorite is when you watching the drug commercials and it's like side effects include nausea, sneezing, throwing up.
But that part is longer than the actual
The actual commercial, right? So you spend 30 seconds watching like Happy Families while it's like, if you're pregnant, you might die. You know what I mean?
Thoughts of suicide are
Right?
rapidly
That's what I'm
increasing.
saying. Like, why buy the drug? Anyway.
And the drugs, those spots are slowing down. Those aren't done at legal speed anymore. They really feel like they're just like, we bought 2 minutes of time. Let's just show this beautiful karaoke video of an older man and a younger woman fishing. I don't know why that's what they're doing, but that's what they are because it's relaxing. Yes, I see a question right here.
You need to do something crazy, like, I don't know, Fred, like doing something like doing the voice of Fred, for example. How would you do something like that?
Who's Fred?
Fred from like Nickelodeon.
The person with a high-pitched voice.
He pitches his voice
Oh,
up,
Fred!
Artificially, I think.
Yeah.
That's not natural.
He's a kid.
Yeah, he had a movie, a TV show.
He
Where
was.
have you been?
Oh gosh.
What?
I don't know.
Fred, what's his name?
Yeah.
Fred Finkel? Fred Berry? Fred Figglehorn. He was his actor's real name is Lucas, but he had a show on like.
But it was
Nickelodeon.
artificial. His voice.
Yeah.
He has a regular voice.
Yeah. I actually don't watch it.
Don't watch it. It's not good. He was gonna be on this panel, and
They
we all
changed
said
it. They
no.
changed his voice after he records his normal voice, then they change it with
But
machinery.
if you're talking about maybe doing like a character similar to Fred, someone
Or
who
like a
talks
SpongeBob or
really
something.
high pitched.
How do you do that?
You just do it.
But like I don't know. Like I learned from a voice coach. So his name was Tony Gonzalez. So he would tell me like higher pitched voices come from the throat. So
Oh, that's very interesting.
yeah,
that's
so
where you
you
feel
have
like
to
right
go
over here.
somewhere up here.
The pinch
and,
in the back of the
Yeah,
throat.
right here. Absolutely. Yeah. So like you'd have to locate where that is in you.
Yeah.
See,
You know?
for me, that came from like being a child and doing voices my whole entire life.
Oh yeah.
Like just finding, and I always like to play the game when I'm in the shower of find that voice, and it's where I just like, because it's all hot in the shower because there's steam and stuff, and I like to play like around with my voice and see what I can find, and that's
In the shower.
just knowing what you
out
can
of the
do.
shower, in the kitchen.
Yeah. Oh, in the kitchen.
I always come home with like neato new voices. I'm like, I just found this today, and my son's like, no. I heard that.
That
and
sounds
heard
like
it,
no one.
And heard it.
I'm a voice matcher, so like to me, it's less about finding sounds and trying to match celebrities.
Right.
And like I've never been able to do Bugs Bunny, and I found Bugs Bunny in traffic the other day.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
So question for you, because
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of voice matching. I do some people, but
not as
it's
hard
because
to
they're very close to my natural voice.
Uh-huh.
Are you listening? Is it like a musical thing for you? Like are you matching like tone and cadence, or is it
the best way I can put it is the way George Carlin was one of the first ones who it popped in my mind. He was talking about, he was doing a bit where he was doing Ed Sullivan. And then he says, Ed Sullivan doing an Ed Sullivan bit, and then he starts going, so he explains to the audience in the nightclub act, Ed Sullivan is cued to my ear by the phrase, so now you know. So now you know. And he goes, I do the John Biner Ed Sullivan, by the way. So now you know. I'll get it. So now you know. Right here on our show. Next up. There, and it was like keyed off of this phrase. So that got me thinking, as a kid I used to think, well, if I could do Rich Little, then I could do all of Rich Little's voices. That was the idea. But as a kid. And I could do kid voices. But it's this, for me, it's posture. It's way more physical. Like Vince Vaughn lives in this place, right? So when I open up my chest and do this kind of stuff, then that's where my Vince Vaughn lives. And my Michael Keaton is all facial. It's like, so like it's just a matter of finding what those places are. So when you ask about how do I make the high sound like a guy, there was it's interesting we're talking about coaches and stuff. I called this. It's a great video by a guy named Eric Arsenault. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's a French last name, but
that would be
that's it. That's the correct pronunciation. I was being polite. But he's a Broadway voice coach and singer, and he did this great exercise where he said, in your warm up, you should go. I was in falsetto. Go from high to low, but while you do it, physically move your body from low to high so that you don't associate high pitch with up here. And I thought it was a really interesting idea because then it was like, so it's a little bit of this because then you start going, But when you get yourself into that separation,
Everybody
then it
together?
truly becomes
Let's all do it.
Everyone go home.
Let's all do it together right now so that no one feels weird. Because I know everyone sitting there is like,
I'm
I
not
want to
gonna
try
do
that.
it at all.
I
I'm
want
gonna
to try
do it
that.
myself.
So let's try that. Let's try that together. Okay.
Okay.
So start
Start
low.
low, high,
And then
everybody.
do
And if
high.
you don't do it, you have to leave.
That's right. High pitch, and then go up.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
It'll feel weird, but
Yes.
also
Yes.
Yes.
And that's 90% of voice acting. It's feeling weird, but feeling good.
That answer your question? All right.
Yes, right
I can go
Different.
high because I'm a girl.
A question for Mr. McArthur.
Yes.
How did you land the voice acting job of Marco Diaz on Star Wars: The Forces of Evil? And is there an audition for season 4 open?
Oh, interesting.
Fan of the series, by the way.
Thank
Nice.
Go Starco.
Oh yeah, hashtag Starco. Yes. So it came to me just like a lot of my other auditions through my agency. I actually, funny enough, about Star versus the Forces of Evil specifically, and sometimes animation projects will do this. I actually auditioned for it about a year before I auditioned for it again, and then had a callback and all that stuff. The project kind of came while it was in development. I had an audition for it. The character wasn't named Marco Diaz. His original name was Sol, because star and soul is like sun. So I auditioned for it. It kind of came and went, just like a lot of them do. And then I auditioned again once the show kind of like had been developed a little bit further. They got more specific about what they wanted it to look like. I auditioned for it. I was this was a weird time where I felt like Disney was trying to find something for me. I don't know if that's just in my head, but I also, at that same time I auditioned for Marco Diaz, I auditioned to be what's the main kid on Star Wars Rebels is Ezra.
Ezra.
Yeah. I had a callback to be Ezra, and there was another project too that I don't remember what it was, but I just remember feeling the most comfortable as Marco Diaz and having the most fun and all that kind of stuff. And then went in 2 times. The second time I went in for a callback, it was to read the entire pilot script with Eden Shear, who voices Star. Wow. And that was a wild experience because it was her and I in the booth, and it was her first job doing voiceover.
Wow.
And she was looking at me like, help? Or like, just like to calm the nerves. And I was looking at her like, oh my God, you're Sue Heck on a TV show? Like, who am I? You know, it was just this cool. And we had the best time. We had the most fun reading the episode together. It obviously went really good, you know. And then, awesome. I was shooting a documentary in China about Kung Fu and had flown back for a 2-day shoot in LA. And I was in the hotel room by myself when Pat Brady, my animation agent at CESD, called me on my phone. And I had this feeling when I saw CESD pop up on my phone. Yeah. And I went to go pick up my phone, and I said, no. If it's what I hope that it is, I want her to leave me a message. And she did, and I have saved that message. I still have that message. I didn't get rid of my iPhone that was on, even though I think you can probably just send it to yourself, and I could have probably sold that for like $500. Whatever. I still have that iPhone.
I'm curious. That's a wonderful story, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks.
What is... I'm just curious of other folks on the panel. What's that moment for you? Do you have that in your experience, past history? That phone call, whether it's from Pat or Vinny or Bo or a previous agent or previous experience.
Yes.
What is it?
I have the same kind of situation. You were saying you felt like they were trying to find something for you. I have that same situation with DreamWorks right now, where I feel like they want to hire me, and they're like, I'm being called in for a lot of different things, and I booked 3 things this year, which I can't tell you about yet, which is such a bummer. But
do it.
What's an NDA?
It's just us.
Vinny's in here again.
It's just us.
But but I,
Did you say friend DA?
right. So I've been auditioning for them since 2014 pretty regularly. And then last year I just started feeling like that I was auditioning all the time for a lot of different things, and they were calling Pat and saying, we want to see, or Kathy, and saying, we want to see Secunda for this or that. So I was feeling like, but it was like, I was not booking, but they were seeing me for so many things. I felt like they must like me. I'm getting called in a lot. I'm getting callbacks. And so this year, Kathy called me in March, and she was like, you got a reoccurring on a DreamWorks show. I was like, yes!
I hope it's Voltron. I hope it's Voltron.
Me too.
But I did not save. I picked it up. I was like, every time I saw CESD on there, I was like, is it me? What's going on? Did I get it? So that's a good idea. I should have thought of. But so that's a pretty good, that's a great feeling.
I got one of those, but I can't say. But I got one like.
I know what it is. Is it the thing I know?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
I demand to know.
Only Adam McArthur knows, and he better not say anything.
No, I'm not.
But yeah, so
I'll be doing prom.
I have, and then I got, right. And then I got another one where then this never happens, where the casting director told me I got it
During your audition?
right after the callback.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, so
That's wonderful.
that's like a
did
pretty
you
big
doubt it?
feeling.
Did you walk out of there going, they just say that to everybody?
Well, okay, so
No.
This was one I can't tell
They
you
told
what
me
it is.
that day too.
But like when I auditioned, it was when I was kind of taking a new stance on like how I approached things. You know, there would be jobs that I would really want really bad, and I wouldn't get, and I would be crushed. You know, it would be like heartbroken.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I auditioned for Miles Morales a few times, and that's like one of my favorite superheroes.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So
Yeah.
that would be freaking awesome.
I know. We all
Jesus.
have those. Too.
Yeah, can we after you're done with this one, can we
Let's just talk about our
everyone's
dream jobs.
Everyone's bucket list.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, like so that was like I just stopped trying to attach to stuff so much, so it wouldn't
Yeah.
And then that kind of led me to be more freer in the way I approach things. Maybe I was just putting too much pressure on myself because I wanted the role so bad.
Right.
So it was a pretty cool role
Yes, I can feel it.
for something. I'm really being really vague for purpose. I have this bracelet that tells me I'm enough. So I try to, I pray, and I'm very spiritual, religious. So I pray, and then I was like, all right, I'm enough, that I'm just going to do it, and whatever. And so, they just say, good job. They do say it to everybody. I was like, I'm probably not going to get this because I want this. It's probably not going to happen, so whatever.
Right.
So just screw it. And, yeah, then they told me right after that I got it. So that was pretty incredible.
Man.
Yeah.
I looked at your bracelet, and I didn't see the E and the N. I just saw the OUGH, and I've been
You
thinking
are-
this
oh!
whole no, this whole time I thought it said you are dough. I was like, that's nice. I'm money.
You are
I
money.
am money. Yeah.
I got the Pat Brady phone call for Han Solo
Nice.
a year ago.
Oh, she was probably nerding out about it too.
Yeah, it was one of those. Exactly that.
Yeah.
But I had the same thought. I'm going to let it go to voicemail, and I saw the number come up, and then it hung up. We were at a school picking up one of my daughter's friends, and it hung up. And I was like, oh, all right. Well, it was probably a last minute, and then it rang again, and I picked it up, and it was Pat. And I know when Pat calls, either I'm in trouble or I booked something. And I didn't think I was in trouble, and she said, well...
With Pat, a lot of times it's the same call.
It could be the same. But she said, well, you can say one thing that very few other people can say. You are the pilot of the Millennium Falcon. Yeah. So,
Did you cry?
I didn't, but I screamed. I yelled, but I was contained because it was a schoolyard, and it was Santa Monica.
I am never content.
But it was.
I celebrate.
That's right.
I ran out and yelled and jumped, and people were like, and I was just like, yeah!
Yeah.
Well, let me. This is really, it's really fun to go down that. I do want to hit the bucket list, but I want to come around to a quick question actually prior to that. I was thinking of it was Scott. It's the thing that you do when you that I've observed like often on Friday afternoons when you hand new people new copy, and they come in and read for you.
Right.
Like what is that process like? And what is it that you're looking for in people who are coming into the room in front of you?
We call it a potential read because it's people who potentially want to be with us and people we might potentially want to have with us. So usually it's set up through an agent, and I'll pick out some copy generally in advance, but if I've picked out copy that's, dad and all this kind of stuff, and the guy walks through the door and it's like, oh no, this guy's going to have a lot of fun with the animation stuff. Then I'll start finding things that are a little wackier, a little more fun. But we give them a couple of pieces of animation, a couple of pieces of commercial, a promo, and half an hour or so to look it over, and then they come in and crank it out. And more than the read, it's the way they react to the process. I mean, because honestly, if somebody comes in and I say, okay, so just take your time, take 20 minutes, half an hour, whenever you're ready, just let us know. And 5 minutes later, I'm hearing, okay, he's ready. I'm thinking, okay, this guy is either real good or we're in trouble here. Because either they've been able to pick everything up immediately, and they're a seasoned pro, or there's somebody who thinks, and I get this a lot with on-camera actors, it's voiceover. You don't have to act it.
Yeah.
You just go in
Oh,
and
no, you didn't.
People say that all the time.
It's like you don't even have to memorize it. You can read it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. You guys can listen to some on-camera actors trying to do voiceover, and it's not as good as their on-camera work.
It's surprising.
It's not the same thing. It's a different muscle. It's a different muscle completely. Like Peter Dinklage, right? From Destiny, he got replaced by Nolan North.
That's
because
right.
nobody liked it. I didn't have a problem with it, but but yeah,
I forgot about that.
It's not the same. It's not the same. It's a different muscle.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking about before, as far as being the character. I mean, it's not saying the words. It's not acting the character. Really, it's just being that person that they're describing for you. Thinking about what happened before this, what's going to happen after this, what are they physically looking like as they're talking to somebody else. It's all that. And I mean, unfortunately, voiceover does kind of get downplayed a lot of the time, and people don't realize that. Take away your face and show me how you can act, pal.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
I don't know why that's so funny. Take away your face.
Take away your face.
Show me how to act.
We're going to start saying that to people. Take away your face, dude. Then see what's
Yeah,
up.
I'm gonna just start.
I'm picking up all kinds of new stuff.
I'm gonna start talking
Like
trash
the
about
Friendier.
on-camera actors. I'm like, oh yeah, really? Oh yeah, you're on an ABC show. Well, take away your face and show me what you can do.
Let's see you do that same work on an ABC show with no face. Let's see how many red carpets, how many dresses Christian Soriano wants to design for you.
How many Esquire covers with no face?
That's right. Question right here.
So, has there ever been a time where work's been so busy at the agency that you can't come in for a week?
Do you mean busy on like their end, where they're like, oh hey, we have too much stuff to do. You can't come in.
Coming in, so you can't come in the movie.
When we have too many people coming in, it's just a 3-hour wait. Like they make sure they get us all in. It's just we have to wait forever.
Yeah, and also they're like, I mean, this is what they do. They're professionals, so obviously if they know, they can foresee that happening. It's not just like, oh shoot, we're too busy. It's like they know that's going to happen, and they're like, hey, just so you know, there might be a really long wait tomorrow. So if you can send in from home, then so it's not usually a, and people, booth directors like Scott are stellar, so they move people through really quick. I'm calling on people. Yeah.
I'm just curious, you mentioned earlier that, with voice acting, it could pretty much be anywhere, especially with people recording at home. Is there a preference for, because I'm going to be moving to Texas, which is like out in the middle of nowhere, in this really small town, but voice acting was something I was interested in. Is that even feasible for someone that's not living near a major city?
Yeah.
I think it's harder.
It'll definitely be harder. There's some voice work in Texas, like anime work, like Funimation, and I think Sentai Filmworks is out there.
Stuff that those companies.
But a lot of the big like studios, like for like the Cartoon Network and like Nickelodeon, that's all out here. So I mean, it's probably still possible if you're able to.
Dude, that started on hold messaging in Toledo, Ohio. There's work wherever you go.
Yeah.
Right.
And the internet has made it more so. There's things that you won't be able to do. You will not be able to go over to LA studios for a callback unless you're willing to pony up for it. But for the most part, if you want to, if life drives you into different places.
Was that an unintentional Texas pun?
Did it? What, did I do
Pony
a Texas
up.
pun?
Pony up.
Pony up? Oh, no, it was a completely
Just wanted to
deliberate
point that out.
Texas pun. Thank you for calling me out. But I mean, I've only been in Los Angeles for about 6 years and have made my career for much longer than that, working in different regions. Go to the Yellow Pages, see who's out there, what talent agents are there, who can rep you. I mean, I had a modeling talent agent in Bryan, Ohio. I didn't want to be doing that work, but I needed to. And I ended up doing
For your soul.
For my soul.
Yeah.
And I did runway modeling in Piqua, Ohio.
That just sounds awesome.
Hey,
I wanna
man,
hear
I
more about
know.
that later.
I'm glad I had the experience. It made me a better actor. But like, it's there. We'll go here and then there. Yes.
Okay, just kind of tailing off that. So speaking of the internet, you've got a lot of like Fiverr and a couple other ones I can't think of that we've used for quick things for startups and whatnot. What do you guys think about that? Because I know it doesn't take the voiceover of the animation and so forth, but it's the commercials and so forth that I heard you say are your bread and butter in between and so forth. Has there been an effect to you on that with that anybody can be out there and put themselves on Fiverr and say I'm a voiceover actor and somebody can go and just
and don't voices like voices.com and that other one do stuff like that? Yeah. So the internet's the internet's really advanced, so people can put their demos and things on the internet, or there's probably voice work on the internet that'll pay you. But just be careful with some of that stuff, because some of that stuff might try to scam you, and some of that stuff, like I hear voices.com is kind of toxic sometimes. Like it's just a guy, they do this thing where they vote on you, and even if your work is good, like the guy doesn't like it, that'll affect your personal actor score, and then that's not a healthy way to judge actors.
And you can get a plumber for $5, so you can get a plumber for $45.
Right.
There's some things I just don't want to take the risk, and if it's my brand identity,
and my plumbing,
not
worth the risk.
Right there. Totally
Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I'm of the mindset of like, there's a market for, like exactly what Kif just said. There's a market for everything. Yeah. I don't know how you would know if it's affected you, but I also think that the world is changing drastically. I mean, you can see that with like cable TV providers going away and all that kind of stuff happening. So, I mean, there does need to be an awareness of it, but at the same time, that point exactly. Like, there's still a lot of times a difference between the level of quality. Although there are really talented people who are doing that too, and will a big company go to Fiverr? You never know. I mean, maybe one day, hopefully not, because then we'll see more of an effect. But I think as of right now, it's sort of pretty new. Yeah.
But for local non-union stuff, like you said, there's a market for everything. There's a need for everybody. I think it's just a different animal from what we do, honestly.
Right. But still an animal.
Question?
Yeah.
Lighthearted question. What's your favorite tongue twister?
Hold on. I just had one the other day.
Favorite tongue twister?
Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers.
Nice.
I did it low, see?
Yeah.
What was the one I had?
And it's the only one I know.
It was like
Top of it.
I don't remember, but that episode of Pinky and the Brain that was all tongue twisters is literally my favorite piece of animation of all time.
Oh, you can't remember one?
six sadistic statistics, like something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I default
like
to Peter
statistics.
Piper, but if I'm warming up, I memorized a Shakespearean monologue a long time ago, and not bad. It's Hotspur from Henry IV, Part 1.
Is it that one?
My liege, I did deny no prisoners, but I remember when the fight was done when I was dry with rage and extreme toil. And it's a great piece, but it's the only one I've memorized. But I got a phone call one time from my agent saying, "Hey, can you do a British accent? Send me something immediately." And I said, "Okay." And then I recorded that monologue, but as I did it, I changed the dialect because it was like, when you say British, do you mean, no, you tough, no. What do you mean, you know what I mean? So I tried to do a couple of those different things on it, and ended up booking it. But that's my favorite. I like doing.
What did it sound like with the British accent?
My liege, I did deny no prisoners. But it depends. Like, this is my voice.
Like Gerard Butler. I was like, oh, Kif.
So if it was like Russell Crowe, it'd be,
You are enough.
You're also Joe.
My liege, I did deny no prisoners. Love that.
That was less sexy.
That's right. Yes.
So you guys mentioned starting this as teens or as children. Let's say someone who's an adult decides, this sounds like something I want to do, but I don't have the money to go to college to go to a class, or I don't have the money to buy the equipment to do this at home. How would you recommend to get started?
Okay, I started as a kid, but there was a 10, 15-year gap. So I basically started over. I didn't know anybody in voiceover, nothing. So, and I didn't have any equipment or anything. So I begged my mom for a loan so that I could get a mic and just a little tiny setup. And then I just started Craigslist and voices.com and reading a lot and looking at a lot of YouTube videos because I couldn't even afford training at that time. So I just looked at a lot. There's a lot of information online about voiceover and how to get better at it, how to get good at it, how to get jobs, how to, a lot.
Also, just be really good. Seriously, there's like no replacement for being insanely talented. Like if you can hone your skills, and it's not just like, oh, I was born doing voices. You know, there's like
you weren't born a black belt.
Right. Yes. You have to work hard and you have to put in the work. So it doesn't matter how old you are. If you put in the work and put in the time, get really, really, really good. Yeah. And then things like YouTube. Dude, YouTube, there's people that come into CESD that get signed by CESD who have posted videos of themselves doing like a Disney medley or something like that on YouTube, and it's gone viral, and there's like millions of views. And now all of a sudden people are like, oh, he's really good. And then, so work hard.
You don't have to start as a child to make it happen.
Be really good.
No, I don't think there's any age limit to start. I think that's the beauty in voiceover. Like,
I mean, like 90s.
I mean, I'm sure
maybe get your affairs.
Stan Lee is still in there in every cartoon, so
Don't bring up the man right now. Not as a
but like that's
comrade.
the thing about VO. It's like you can as long as you can play it, you can be it. And like what they said, just practice. Troy Baker, he just walked in and started doing it. He didn't really have that much like formal training. Formal training is only just to sharpen the tool, not make it for you. Start investing. Use your phone. Technology. Like I have a Voice Record Pro 7 on my phone. I booked a promo that paid $1,000.
Oh, really? You have 7?
I
have 6.
I pulled over on the freeway and recorded a thing in my phone and booked a job off of it. So just use whatever tools is necessary while you build. But just work. Never give up. 7 years.
It's really accessible now.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it, totally, you should just.
Like what Secunda said. She said like 10, 15-year gap. Mine was 7. Never stop. You might have to wait a long time, but as long as you keep going.
Are you out here? Yeah. I mean, the amount of training resources that are available too that are affordable.
Yeah.
Like from my entry-level class that I teach over at Second City to studying with Dave Walsh or studying with the Kalmansons or some of these different casting directors in town. Like that was one of the things we were talking about the other day about like if you can study in town with a casting director like Elaine Craig or like Kalmanson's voice casters, some of those places from a commercial standpoint, and they have like intro level basics all the way through. You've got experience, you've had some improv training, or you did some theater in college, or you've got an on-camera background. Great. Then the transition, the acting is acting. The difference to my audience is proximity.
Right.
Either I'm this close, to my lover's ear, or I'm playing to the back of the room. The skills are the same. It's just the size of the performance, right? So don't wait.
Yeah. Try to pick up a voiceover resource guide that has like everything in it.
Yeah. And listen to my show. You're welcome to listen. I mean, I've done. This is our 50th episode, so like.
This is the 50th. 50th. Such a round number.
I know, nice and round.
Anything else?
Any other questions? Yes, back over here.
What was the biggest hurdle you had to overcome in your career journey?
Ludo. She's dressed as Star. Dressed as Star.
That's a good question. Myself was the biggest hurdle I had to overcome. That overthinking, that desperation for work. When you're in the entertainment industry, there's a lot that can weigh on you if you let it, and there's a lot that can stop you if you let it. So I think the biggest one was me, is getting over myself, my doubts, and my insecurities, and getting down to the core of what I want to do, which is what I love. So, yeah.
Mine was money. I convinced myself that I couldn't do this because I couldn't afford a studio. I didn't have a house big enough for a studio. Like I just thought, oh, that's for like fancy people, right? And then I realized that that's not true. That, like you said, if I may, I'm a talented human, and this is what I want to do, and I love it. So I figured out a way around that.
biggest hurdle.
The front door. You know, there's a step, and then he has to get over that in order to get outside.
I think, I don't know. I'm one of those people that when I decide that I'm going to do something, like there really isn't a hurdle.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. It doesn't matter if it's hard.
Do a backflip.
Like it's okay. Do you want
Decide
me
to do a backflip.
You want me to do a
Yep.
backflip right now?
Mm-hmm.
I can do a backflip right now. If you really wanted me to do a backflip, that's no problem. But seriously, it's like I guess it's just that's the mentality that I take for everything, and I've always wanted to do this. So it was just like, you know, my parents would say like, "Well, do you think you'll ever like stop and get a real job?"
Right.
When I asked my wife's dad permission to ask her to marry me, he was like, so, you know, like I know you're an actor, but do you think like, you know, you'll ever change careers? And he is very high up in a very large grocery chain. He's like, you know, if you ever want to, like, you know, be a cashier at the store, like, you know, you could do that.
You're a great guy and everything.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, you people don't understand. There is only one option, and there is a difference between like being dumb when you say that, because you know you have to be aware if it is an actual possibility, and it was an actual possibility. I'm here. I have an agency. I knew that was a matter of time. So yeah, I guess my perspective of what was my biggest hurdle is it was just waiting until it happened.
Patience. That's a big hurdle.
That is a big being comfortable with the patience and the time that you find yourself stuck in a place that you're like, this will never happen. But I have a similar mindset of like from Jump Street, I knew it was going to be a mountain to climb.
Yeah, it's hard.
So
everyone would do it if it wasn't hard.
Yeah, and
I mean, yeah.
That's it. I mean, my biggest hurdle was my parents saying okay, and in a way, it was the thing. I know that seems crazy, but like I wanted to do it since, like I said, since I was 6 or 7, and I lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I'm the grandson of 2 Christian Reformed ministers. So going off to Hollywood, that was not in the cards for me. So I had 15 years of covert work and fandom.
That's awesome.
And, you know, doing impressions. What's been your biggest hurdle, Scott?
There wasn't one.
I
always wanted to be Wally Wingert. That was the big
Yeah, for some people, getting your car stolen was their biggest hurdle. You're like, that helped.
Right, that was the catalyst.
Thank you.
Now I don't have a choice.
I think we have time for one final question before we wrap things
Well, now we should go long just so she has a legitimate reason to.
Right, yeah.
It's right over here, yes.
You haven't gone over the bucket list.
Ah, you're right, the bucket list. That's a great place to go. So bucket list role and or thing. Okay. Bucket list role and or thing.
Are we thinking? Because I already know mine.
If you already know, go ahead.
Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles.
Hey.
And my other one is any any version of Spiderman.
Hey.
And also Lion-O from the Thundercats.
Hey. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh. Thank you. And that's it.
That's great.
Mine are any Care Bear.
Hey.
I always wanted to be a Care Bear. And if they remake, if they do the Dark Crystal cartoon, I will stalk everyone.
Miles Morales and Static Shock. I think that those are always like my two. Like it was Static first. He was the OG, so I would love.
What channel was that on?
Static?
Is it Disney?
That was WB.
It's WB.
Kids WB when it was on. Yeah.
Dude, it's time for that to
It's
make
time.
time.
It's time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Jeez, I've played Han Solo.
Right?
Well.
There's a great I'll transition that quick note into a shout out for a guy named Bobby Chu, who is a character designer. He does a couple podcasts talking about creativity and inspiration, and has a great thing about what do you do once you've achieved a goal.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure that you keep your goals, that you look for other peaks to climb and figure out what that is. For me right now, my bucket list is 195. If I can get my body back down to 195.
I was like, who's that? I wonder who that is. Maybe that's an old movie reference.
I was like, what? 195 blanks.
I know. No, because I've been 220 for like 3 years. And I've been kind of content to be like, dad bod character actor, you know? Well, what do you do? But I don't want to go through another pilot season like the one I just went through, where I got amazing looks and walked in the room and did great work. And they were like, that was awesome. That was a great audition. Thank you. And then stare at the phone and go, what can I control?
Right.
At the end of the day, the thing I can control is what I put in my mouth, how I activate my body, and how I present myself.
That's why I love voiceover.
Right
there. I can eat cupcakes and still work.
You eat cupcakes directly after watching this, right? Actually, in between takes.
In between, they're there. They are there.
That's a horrible idea.
And milk.
And chocolate. Everything.
So it's time, I'm afraid, for us to start wrapping up. But just as by way of exiting, can you tell us how can people find you on social media or share the love?
Actually, if that's okay with y'all, I'm going to Snapchat y'all right now.
All right, good, you're good. Yeah. Zeno's going to Snapchat you right now?
You know, I got to hold it horizontal. Can we all just go all over VO? All over VO. Yay! Okay, cool. Thanks, you guys. You guys.
Actually, I have, there you go. So Zeno 52.
That's my Twitter handle.
That's your Twitter handle?
Yeah.
Secunda Wood
That's
VO.
my everything.
Adam double M. Yes?
Yeah, Adam M. @_ Adam M is my Twitter. Instagram is @NinjaMac. NinjaMac. Yeah,
Ninja my Instagram is like Childish Gam Zeno. So
that's right.
Just look up Zeno Robinson. How many of those do you know?
I made it Kiff VH to keep it simple. I'm Kiff VH on everything. Scott, are you on social media platforms at all?
No, the Witness Protection Program.
Okay.
I tried to find him.
Thank you so much for coming out for All Over VO.
Thank you, guys.
And I made buttons. If you want an All Over VO button, please feel free to come by. Yeah, we'll make sure my
There was our conversation from Stan Lee's Kamikaze, Stan Lee's LA Comicon this year, 2017. I hope you got a lot out of it. Thanks for sticking with me for all these all these episodes, and I hope you find as much inspiration in them as I have making them. All right, I'm out. Peace. Thank you for joining us on All Over Voiceover with Kiff VH. Please take a moment to review the show and let other folks know what you thought. And if you dug it, please subscribe. Follow the show on Twitter @AllOverVO and check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/AllOverVO with Kiff VH. That's it for this time. You get what you get, and don't get upset. Claim victory and depart the field.